In the vast, silent stretches of the Orion Arm lies the Hecate Nebula, a sprawling, multi-light-year graveyard of ionized gas, radioactive dust and high-frequency electromagnetic storms. For the better part of a century, Hecate was a dead zone. No radar could penetrate its shimmering pink walls. No long-range sensors could find a signal through its screaming interference. And that was exactly why the Shades chose it. The Shades were a race of silicon-based predators who didn't fly ships in the traditional sense. They were the ships. Their vessels were semi-sentient masses of crystalline gas and shadow matter, blending perfectly with the nebula's natural distortion. They were the ultimate ambush predators. They would drift in the fog, invisible to our electronic eyes, waiting for a human freighter to wander too close to the nebula's edge. Then they would strike, not with lasers but with siphon tendrils that drained the heat and electricity from a ship in seconds, leaving behind nothing but frozen, silent tombs. They thought the Hecate Nebula was their impenetrable fortress. They assumed that because we relied on digital eyes and silicon brains, we were helpless in a world of static. They believed that if they couldn't be seen, they couldn't be touched. They were catastrophically wrong. They forgot that humanity didn't start its history with radar. We started it with the spear, the rope, and the sense of touch. If the enemy wanted to hide in the fog, we would simply reach into the dark and grab them. We created the tactical tension protocol. And we birthed the third deep fog interceptors. The Echo Hunters. We don't use long-range missiles. In Hecate, a missile is just a blind firecracker. We don't use scanners. We use vibroacoustics. Our ships, the harpoon prowlers, are built like armored tanks with grappling hooks. We don't look for the enemy, we feel for them. We fire pulse-harpoons, massive 2-ton tungsten spikes connected to kilometers of hyperconductive carbon fiber cables. We fire them into the fog at random intervals, or wherever we feel a slight pull in the electromagnetic tide. Once the harpoon bites into the alien's gaseous hull, it's game over. We reel them in, dragging the invisible ghosts out of the fog and into the range of our short-stroke industrial cannons. We are the Echo Hunters, and we are about to teach the Shades that there is nowhere to hide when the human race starts pulling on the leash. I am Captain Elias Snapthorn. My cable tension is currently at 80,000 tons, and my hands are vibrating with the pulse of the enemy's heart. And I'm about to bring a ghost back to life, just so I can kill it. The entry into Hecate was like flying into a storm of broken glass. The nebula's interference hit the Valkyrie 09 with a roar of white noise that bypassed the external speakers and vibrated through the very deck plates. My HUD was a flickering mess of ghost signals, the nebula's way of lying to my sensors. Shut it all down. Go to analog sense. I barked into the haptic link. The screens went black. The only light in the cockpit came from the dull orange glow of the mechanical tension meters and the vibrating feelers mounted to the hull. Hunter 2, Sarah. I've got a ripple on the port side cable spool. Something just brushed the line. Snap. It's heavy. Hunter 3, Jax. I see a shimmer at 2 o'clock. Visual only. It's like a cloud of ink in the pink. Fire the tether. Don't let it drift. Thump thump. 2 pulse harpoons launched from our bow, trailing cables that glowed with a faint red electrical charge. In the vacuum of the nebula, there was no sound, only the sudden jerk of the ship as the lines reached their limit. For a heartbeat there was nothing. Then the spool began to spin. Whir. Contact. The line is taut. We've got a big one. The Shade cruiser, a translucent, manta ray-like entity the size of a city block, emerged from the fog though not by choice. It was trying to flee back into the dense electromagnetic clouds, but the harpoon was buried deep in its crystalline core. The carbon fiber cable was acting as a lightning rod, channeling the nebula's own static electricity directly into the alien's nervous system. The Shade rippled with agonizing violet light, its invisibility flickering and dying as the electrical surge forced it to remain solid. Reel it in. Bring the bastard home. I slammed the winch into high torque. The Valkyrie 09 groaned, the engines fighting the massive drag of the alien Leviathan. It was a cosmic tug-of-war. The Shade lashed out with its siphon tendrils, trying to wrap them around our hull to drain our power, but we had prepared for that. We had electrified our outer skin. Sarah. Hit the pulse. Sarah triggered the static burst. A massive wave of high-voltage energy traveled down the harpoon cables. The Shade cruiser let out a visible shockwave of gas, a silent scream, as its internal structure began to fracture. The manta ray shape buckled, its edges turning from a ghostly shimmer to a brittle, scorched gray. It's within range. Cannons? We didn't use lasers. We used slug drivers, short-range, rapid-fire cannons that fired jagged chunks of industrial scrap. At this distance we didn't need a lock. We just needed to follow the rope. Bang 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 bang. The scrap slugs tore through the shade's crystalline hull, creating jagged holes that leaked glowing blue ichor. The alien ship was no longer a graceful predator of the fog. It was a wounded animal being dragged to the slaughter. It tried to phase burst, a final attempt to turn intangible and slip off the harpoons, but the pulse-harpoons were phase-locked. They held the alien in our reality with the stubbornness of a bulldog. One more burst. Break the core. I fired the secondary harpoon, aiming for the pulsing center of the creature's manta wings. Clack. The spike hit home. I didn't reel this one in. I triggered the detonation cap. A localized fusion explosion erupted inside the shade's hull. The alien ship didn't just explode, it shattered into a billion tiny crystals that were immediately swallowed by the nebula's winds. The tension on the cables went to zero. Splash 1. Coil the lines. Across the sector, the Hecate Nebula was lighting up with the fires of 100 similar battles. The echo hunters were everywhere. We were weaving a web of carbon fiber and tungsten throughout the fog. The shades, who had spent 1,000 years as the masters of the invisible, were being reeled in like common fish. They tried to communicate, sending out low-frequency pulses of terror. How can you touch the void? We don't touch the void, I whispered, the vibration in my seat finally settling. We just hold on to the rope. Humanity has proven the ultimate truth of the galactic dominion. You can hide in the fog. You can be invisible to every sensor. You can exist as a whisper in a storm of static. But we are the species that knows how to hunt by feel. We are the ones who will reach into the dark, find your heart, and pull until it breaks. We are the echo hunters. We are the third deep fog interceptors. And the nebula is no longer your home, it's our hunting ground. The shade is dust. The line is coiled. Hecate is ours. The mission is over. Now get me a visual on the next shimmer. I think I felt a tug on the long line.